Prime Property, your weekly real estate reckoner. I'm Nayantara Rai, and this is what we have on the show today. Get an exclusive peek into what Donald Trump and family are planning for luxury real estate in India as Prime Property speaks to Donald Trump Jr. Subrata Roy claims to have a jaw-dropping £750 million offer for the landmark Grosvenor House in London.
A man who's been described as a provocative entrepreneur, as a business leader who you cannot ignore, as a celebrity TV host, a best-selling author, and someone who other authors have written many books about, Donald Trump.
I will tell you that the most successful people, some of them, not all of them, are very unhappy people. I don't consider them successful people. Show me a person without ego, and I'll show you a loser almost every time. Pick a business that's good.
Donald Trump redefined luxury real estate in America, be it housing, offices, retail, casinos, and even golf courses. He and his son, Donald Trump Jr., now have their eyes set on India. As of now, the Trumps have two residential projects in the country, one with the Panchsheel Group in Pune for a 22-story tower, and the other with Lodha Developers in Mumbai's Worli area for a 70-floor tower with a golden facade. Here's why Donald Trump is betting big on India.
I think pricing for housing in Mumbai is going to go skyrocketing. I think it's very low. And I look at other places and I think it's very high. I'd rather be building a building where I think prices are low. I see cities that are not nearly as good as Mumbai, as an example, you know, areas not nearly as good, and their prices on a square foot or square meter basis are much, much higher. So I think there's a great, you know, in India, I think India has a lot of potential for rising prices if people buy housing.
Make what you want of that. Donald Trump believes India's most expensive property market is actually quite cheap. Taking a cue from that, I interviewed his son Don Jr. and partner in Mumbai, Abhishek Lodha. Here's that conversation. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining us here on Prime Property and CNBC TV 18. Don Jr., I'm going to begin with you. So you've been in India for a bit now. You have two projects here. How's the experience been so far?
I think it's been great. Once you got through the initial hurdles, I think the first couple trips I spent, come over here, I have a great piece of land I'd like to show you. It's perfectly Trump. It's very great. You get there, you know, it's not their land, it's not this. But I think after the first couple of trips, I got to meet a lot of great people, learned to navigate the landscape a little bit better to where you understand who has what and who has the abilities of execution. And so now we have some great partners and great relationships in the market, and it's become a lot better that way. When you came in not knowing anyone, just trying to look, saying, hey, this is a market I'd like to be a part of, I'd like to do something with, without having that sort of on-the-ground knowledge, it was much more difficult.
You said you have many partners. We only know about two partners right now, which are Lodha and the Panchsheel Group. Two projects. How have sales progressed so far? Have you even seen price appreciation in the two projects yet?
Well, you know, we certainly have in Pune. This has just more recently launched, and I'll let Abhishek talk to that. But, you know, my understanding is that it's gone great. The units are sold you know, well beyond what we would have thought at this point, considering we're basically launching the sales office today with my father. So we're excited to be here doing that, but things are going great.
You want to take up on that?
Yeah, the projects, you know, really had a phenomenal response. Like Don Jr. was saying, we haven't even opened the show unit today yet, which will be done today, and we have already more than 100 units sold and prices between 9 to 18 crores. These are 3, 4, and 6 bedroom units. So it's really done phenomenally well. We're really, you know, after the first couple of weeks where we were in the pre-launch thinking that we've undersized the project because there is so much demand for such a high quality project, and we just don't have enough units.
Okay, so, you know, you've given me a rough indication of the pricing. Now, if you could tell me, because, you know, we consider Trump, we think of it as synonymous with super luxury. So is this pricing also above the market rate?
Well, you know, a market rate is a questionable phenomenon in itself because I don't know quite frankly, what the market rate is. Clearly, for the Trump development, the standard of finishes, the standard of interiors, the amenities, etc., are of a truly exceptional international standard. And the prices, from what I understand, are, you know, looking very, very attractive to people.
Don Jr., you know, this Trump Tower is going to be part of a larger project, the park. So, you know, how worried were you that your brand should not get diluted, that the other towers it's okay for those towers to come up near a Trump tower?
Well, I think that's obviously a concern, and yet at the same time, I think when you look at the overall amenities package that you're able to add on to the building because of the critical mass that's part of it, I think we're able to work out something where obviously the fixtures, the finishes, every aspect of the building, there's still a very great differentiator, but there's also shared amenities and benefits that our buyers are going to get and share that they're only able to get because of the critical mass that's been created at the park at Worley. So I think it's one of those things. It was definitely a concern. We had a lot of those conversations, but all those concerns were very quickly alleviated because of the extra things that we're able to offer our buyers that wouldn't really be possible if you just had a one-off standalone building that didn't have sort of the massive park complex, that didn't have all sort of the green space and free space for all of our users to use. So in the end, it ended up being something that I think was a very big positive.
So what are these extra amenities? What else are you bringing to the table that he had to figure out that, yeah, I want that? So.
Oh, man, the list is long and distinguished, but all sorts of amenities from play areas for children and things that just you haven't seen as common. Perhaps they've become more common in the United States in some of those types of markets, but wouldn't have been considered normal amenities in the emerging world. And so I think what you're really doing is creating what would be a world-class building in one of the other world-class cities and finally bringing that to Mumbai. And I think that's been something that's been lacking, and I think that's been something that the high-end consumer in these markets has been looking for a long time because they're incredibly well-traveled. They go around the world and they see it, but they've been starved for that level of luxury within their home market, and I think we're looking to change that.
Did you have to resize, redesign the park to make sure that the Trumps would be on board?
The Trump Tower was definitely designed with the Trump Organization involved in great detail. We've been working together for over 2 years now trying to get the design done in a manner which would speak to the Trump standard and make sure that it distinguishes even amongst the different Lodha developments in Mumbai. So they've been very actively involved in all aspects, the floor height, making sure there are all glass windows so that the views are great. The interior finishes are by HBA Singapore, so really you're looking at hospitality standard interiors. The architecture is by Voha. You have the gleaming golden facade so that in any part of the city you will see this building stand out and you can know yes, that's the Trump Tower Mumbai, and so on. In addition to that, in the fact is that it's set in an 18-acre site, which is very rare in Mumbai, of where 7 acres is dedicated to a pure green park, which is truly an exemplary amenity for people of Mumbai. But in addition to all the facilities in the park, we also within the Trump Tower have their own private pool, they have a private gym, they have a business and family lounge, and so on. So they've made sure that people can enjoy all the amenities and the larger amenities of the park, but at the same time have the exclusiveness and the privilege of having things which are exclusively meant for them.
Have you guys also signed an exclusivity contract when it comes to the city of Mumbai? Because, why would you want him to sign on with any other developer for the city?
We clearly have an arrangement wherein during the period of construction of the Trump Tower, this will be the Trump Tower Mumbai.
So right now, unless you sign more contracts with Lodhas, this is it as far as Mumbai goes?
For residential for a time period, yes.
Okay, so that's an important caveat. So you don't have exclusivity then for commercial and retail, perhaps?
Correct. For retail, hotel, but again, these are projects, for us, once we have a partnership, we'd love to do something and continue with Lodha. If that's not something that they're doing today, then we'd talk about it and, as partners would, and say, okay, this is how we're going to pursue that to make sure that we maintain those relationships in the best way possible. Obviously, the natural tendency for us would be to want to do more with the existing partners that we have because we understand that we can work well together, and that's a big part of business, certainly for us. So, that's something that we have the potential of doing, but would love to do it together as well.
So are you guys talking maybe for commercial and hospitality?
We always talk.
Is there any concrete talks that are taking place at the moment?
They're always trying to scoop everything. They want to know about it before we do.
That's our job. Our job is to construct and make towers.
We understand. You'll be one of the first to know.
Okay, so are you talking to others as far as commercial projects and hospitality projects?
We look at, when we talk about outside of, Mumbai, obviously that's, your big foothold here, and, there's other markets that we've looked at, and there's other markets that we've looked at for years, many of which we say, oftentimes hasn't been quite up to, our level of luxury, our expectations. A big part of it is really, when we talk about the high-end sector and everyone talks about, well, high-end may be a little overbuilt. Well, perhaps high-end's overbuilt, but when you talk about specific projects within, the massive infrastructure that is high-end, you say, well, that one's going to be successful no matter what, almost irrespective of what happens to the economy, because it's that much better than everything else. Everyone tries to be high-end. We see that in New York. A couple buildings go up, they sell at new record numbers, then every building that's ever been on the drawing board all of a sudden went from being low-end, now we're going to try to make it ultra-luxury because they're going to get $6,000 a square foot. And it doesn't really happen. So for us, it's about making sure that the projects that we do are really, truly differentiated from the other things that are high-end within those markets. And that's what's going to separate those projects from being, successes or not.
And you guys had announced this deal exactly a year ago, last August. Why has it taken so long to officially launch the project?
Well, and we were talking for a year before that. It's real estate, to get the projects right, to be able to come out with a project that you're confident in launching, to be able to, then take that vision and get it to market. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that happens in a couple of days. Perhaps that's the big misconception that people see about the real estate market in general. They say, oh, it's so easy to do it. I mean, these are processes from when it's a notion in your head to when you actually can hand someone else the keys. You have 5, 7, 8, 10 years at times. To really see those visions come to reality. You have a lot of market changes. If it was so simple and you could do it overnight, everyone would be a real estate billionaire.
What are the other cities that you're looking at the moment? You're just in Mumbai and Pune at the moment.
Well, again, we've looked. I've been to, Bangalore. I've been to Hyderabad. I've been to Goa. I've been to Chennai. I've been to Delhi. Delhi being probably the most natural of all of those. I mean, I think there's interesting opportunities perhaps within all of those sub-markets. But I think, they are still much smaller markets, perhaps not ready for the level of luxury that, is commensurate with what we'd want to do. But we've seen it all. We continue to look, and if there are projects that end up fitting,
So how soon are we going to see a deal in Delhi?
I don't know. You're going to have to wait. We'll see.
Okay,
Maybe soon.
Abhishek has also bought one of the most prime corners in the world, perhaps. He's bought the McDonald House in London for £300 million. Are you guys talking about that? Because he wants to redevelop that and make it into a super luxury project. Are you guys in talks for that?
We've had a conversation on that one. Let's see if we can make something work.
So there is something that we could expect. Maybe you guys are already existing partners. Why not have it?
Well, we definitely look at London as a great market, and the Trump brand is a great brand, and we definitely will explore working together in various markets. When a partnership is in place, when a relationship is in place, you try to do things together on an ongoing basis, and definitely London is something we'll try to explore together. It could be the Grosvenor Square property, it could be other properties, because we're doing multiple developments in London.
Okay, before I let you guys go, your dad once wrote in a book that the art of a good deal is a negotiation, and one of the tricks is to negotiate and engage the partner to keep him, if he feels like he's invested so much time that he has no choice but to sign a deal. Is that something you've done with Abhishek?
I think certain things work, for my father that may be different. For us, it's more about friendship again. We're a very different company now. We have the ability to not have to do deals. We could sort of sit back and do it. So for us, a lot of it's going to be decisions. Is this someone I actually want to work with? Is this someone I want to do a deal with? Not I'm doing a deal despite XYZ negatives. So, for us, it's about the friendship. It's about that relationship on an ongoing basis, more importantly than any of that.
And are you going to look at changing your business model as far as India goes? Are you going to just go ahead with the franchise model, or could we see a change?
No, I think you can always see a change. I mean, again, I think what perhaps makes us and separates us from a lot of other real estate investors is we're smart enough to know what we don't know. And so as we entered India, it made sense to do it this way. It made sense rather than coming and say, hey, we have $1 billion, we're just going to invest and put it haphazardly all over the place and assume that we can do everything. It was about forming those relationships, really getting an understanding of those markets, because we've seen how wrong it can go for so many other outside investors that came here. So, for us, it was about getting with partners who really understand that marketplace, who really do it and have done it time and time again and have had those successes, and, really work with them to allow ourselves to have success within that market as well.
Don Jr., Abhishek Lodha, thanks so much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18.
Thank you very much.
So the collaboration between the Trumps and Lodha may travel to London. As you just heard for yourself, both Lodha and Trump say they would love to co-develop the iconic McDonald House in London. This is a property Lodha bought last year for over £300 million. And while Don Jr. didn't say it explicitly, it does seem as if the Trumps are looking to pump equity into Indian projects and thus move away from the current franchise model. On that note, we're going to slip into a short break. On the other side, Sara Subrata Roy is negotiating a deal to sell the iconic Grosvenor House in London for a jaw-dropping £750 million. We'll get an exclusive interview with one of the bidders, Cyrus Poonawalla.